2 Samuel 2. 2 Samuel 2 starts in verse 1, where, in the course of time, David inquired of the Lord, "Shall I go up to one of the towns of Judah?" He asked. The Lord said, "Go up." David asked, "Where shall I go?" "To Hebron," the Lord answered. So David went up. It's like, shall I go? Yes, you can go. Yes, you should go. Where should I go? David always sought the Lord. He wasn't wise in his own eyes. Yes, he had fought many battles. Yes, he was strong. Yes, he was respected and feared among many nations. But he knew his victory came from following God's instructions, and he was not ready to take any chances. He was not going to go out if God was not with him. He only wanted to go where God wanted him to go. He wanted to be led by God. That was the secret of his victories, of his successes. He was led by God. God gave him strategies. God led him when to go out, how to go out. And then in verse 2 it says, "So David went up there with his two wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel and Abigail, the widow of Nabal of Carmel." Remember the 1 Samuel 25 where it shared about the story of David and Nabal and Abigail. And so Abigail was now David's wife. And this was interesting to me because I'm like, how did she go from being married to a fool to being married to David, this mighty man of God, this mighty king? And this in itself is a redemption story, and it's a story of hope for a lot of people. Like, her story was not over. God redeemed her life and saved her from the bad marriage she was in. But what I'm looking at now is, how do you go from being married to a fool to being married to a wise man, a king? In 1 Samuel 25, she had been regarded as a wise and intelligent woman. She was just a woman who made a mistake. But she was still a wise woman, even though she was married to someone who was regarded as a fool. If you find yourself in a difficult marriage or being married to an unreasonable person, you don't need to become a fool as well. You don't need to lose your values, even in that marriage. You can still thrive in that marriage. You can still hold on to your values. And yeah, there's so much to say. There came a time where she became a widow, and when a king saw her, he saw her value. He saw her for what she was. Going to verse 5 and 6. When David was told that it was the men from Jabesh Gilead who had buried Saul, he sent messengers to them to say, "The Lord bless you for showing kindness to Saul your master by burying him. May the Lord now show you kindness, and I too will show you the same favor because you have done this." So in chapter 1 we see that David had mourned for Saul. Now he's actually going to also, he's now going further by showing kindness to people who buried Saul. Like, goodness gracious, this guy blows my mind. He's out of this world. He's a different species, I'm telling you. Like, not only do you mourn your enemy's death, you're also going out of your way to show favor to those people who took care of his body and buried him. God. Reading through 2 Samuel, reading through the story of David, I'm realizing why he was called a man after God's heart. Why God loved this man so much. And I'm just praying as we study, we see things in his life we can emulate. We can become more Christ-like. Because David was actually really Christ-like. We can still love our enemies. We can still wish them well, do them good. Even as we protect ourselves. David protected himself. He didn't give himself over to Saul to like, hey, you know what, it's okay. I'm a Christian and I'm Christ-like. I'm just going to give myself up for you. No, he protected himself. He ran away from Saul. He hid. Um, he was wise, but he was not going to lift his hands to hurt him or do him any harm. So that's the balance. How do you protect yourself while still loving your enemy, while still doing them good, and not allowing yourself, not allowing hatred into your own heart as well, not taking matters into your own hands. And then finally, in verse 21, there was a situation where one of his soldiers was chasing this guy that had come from. There was war between the houses of David and Saul, and this one soldier was chasing the soldier from the other camp, and this guy was like, stop. He wasn't holding any weapon in his hand. He was just chasing out of zeal, and he was gonna go after this commander. This was Asahel. And Abner was like, okay, stop, I don't want to kill you because I can't face your brother. But the guy did not stop. In the process, the guy got killed. He was zealous, but without wisdom. Like, why are you chasing someone with a whip in his hands and you're chasing empty-handed? Wisdom is needed.